This ain't no ordinary, old-ass, run-of-the-mill, common or garden variety sketchbook. This is a sketchbook in a box. Can you believe they put a sketchbook in a box? I can't believe it, and neither are you. What? Oh, I had to put front on the front because of the way it's built. It's like the same on all sides, so I needed to... now, I could flip through this book, just like this, like some schmuck, some schlub, some prole, some rube off of the street. Oh, page 1, page 2, etc. Or I could show it in all its majesty as our Lord God Christ intended. Look at that, it's like magic. It's a magic book. As if it were put together by somebody who didn't really understand what magic actually is or was or is supposed to be used for. So they just took some paper and had a long bit of paper and folded it and put it into like a smaller area and made a sketchbook out of it, and then I drew some pictures on it, and now I'm gonna just look at all of it. So I'll try to feed it through I'll try to feed it through the screen to show it as best as possible. A pigeon, it's always good to start with a nice drawing. I like to start with something solid and then devolve quickly into absolute horse dookie. Although actually I'm really happy with this book overall. But that's cool, isn't it? A nice starting a little pigeon. Pigeons are cute, aren't they? I saw a photo of a pigeon and I thought, I'll draw bloody that pigeon. So I did, and I'm really happy with how I got like the iridescence. I got like the iridescence on its feathering there. Look like it's covered in oil or something, like it's all shiny. You know how birds do. They like to get covered in oil all the time. In the ocean, all the seabirds, they all get together and cover themselves in oil and have like oil parties because they're a bit weird like that. It's all fun and games with birds around, isn't it? And then Burke, do you know of and or remember the show The Trapdoor? It's a little like animated short series from like the late 80s, early 90s or something. Little claymation, and there's this little fella Burke, and he lives in his like little castle dungeon area with his boss yelling down to him, "Give me my breakfast, Burke." And he's like, "Oh, you bastard, fine then." He opens a trapdoor and every episode something terrible comes out of it, but he keeps opening it. What's he doing? So that's Burke. That's that... I was going to say bad words. Cunt. There. That's his little pal. There's monsters and worms and shit. They're all about the place. Somebody commissioned me to do a painting of the trapdoor. They said, "Do you remember..." Or I don't know. What the fuck did they say? I don't know if you know the show The Trapdoor, but I'd like a painting. And I was like, of course I know the show The Trapdoor. Who do you think I am? I'm cultured, you shithorn. I know everything. But I was very excited because I really enjoyed that show, watching it on Sunday mornings before church, before my life was ruined weekly, week after week, on a regular basis, going to bloody church. And this was like a little practice piece just to see sort of what I could come up with in terms of painty visual of the trapdoor. So this is his skull friend in the dungeon with the trapdoor, all nasty fucking eldritch horrors coming out of it, and he's like, "Oh, bloody hell." Oh. So I really like that, actually. I was really, really happy with that. It was done really quickly. It was a ballpoint pen sketch, and I just, I did some spray paint just so there was less of a block of a starting point from this page to that page. Look at this guy, what's he doing? He's mad. And then, I painted it quite quick, and I was really happy with the outcome. I'm about to start work properly on that commission, so watch this space, I suppose. And, I'll show that commission as and when I work on it. Continuing on, there's too much book. I don't know what to do with it all. A Japanese friend, Saki, her name is, like the drink. She wears kimonos because she's, it's part of her culture. She has some photos of her wearing kimonos, so I drew photos of her wearing kimonos. And they're really good drawings. This one looks the most like her, and that one kind of does as well. That one, not so much, but it's a difficult angle because her head was like tilted a bit. So it's got an apple. That hand holding the apple is really good. Aren't I bloody brilliant? Look how good I can draw shit. I quite like the contrast between, like, some silly little doodles, a fucking cool painting of a dungeon, and then some wonderfully rendered drawings of a Japanese lady in various kimonos. And then some fucking muscles and guns and shit. Goliath gang members from the Games Workshop game Necromunda from back in the day. There's another one, somebody said, please draw me and paint a picture of Goliath gang member from Necromunda. Of course, what they said was, do you know Necromunda? There's these gang members called Goliaths, and I'd really... Of course I know! I know everything! Well, I know bits and pieces. But what that really is the people, the people my following, the people who follow me have certain interests, and they like my art because it sort of interconnects with those interests. So very often when they say, hey, I like your art and I like this thing, do you know what the thing is? It's like, well, of course, because our interests interlock and sort of pass through one another. And those are some cool... This was made up. This was somewhat referenced from a painting. Fucking muscles and guns and fucking... A bolt gun. Those are big, fucking cool, nasty, gnarly, big Space Marine guns. Someone else commissioned me to do a Sisters of Battle piece. So this was just sort of practicing Sisters of Battle from Warhammer 40,000. This was just a quick sketch, and I painted it, and I really like how it looks. It's not perfect, but it was like literally I painted that in 2 minutes over the sketch. I like how her hair goes over her eyes there. I really like that look. Like the battered, textured breastplates and such. This was referenced from Jez Goodwin's book. Just a quick sort of sketch from that. That was my imagination. Well, no, not wholly my imagination. Some Google image reference, some imagination, and that was straight reference. Also, was this it's becoming too much. There's too much of it. I can't contain this goddamn book. It's about 17 feet long. I measured it very crudely, but it's about 17 feet long. Almost as... So this was also referenced from the same book by the same guy, Jez Goodwin, Goliath gang member. I didn't need to do this. I'd already sort of gotten my references and stuff for that commission done. I'll pop the commission up on the thing if I remember. I might not. Sort of not a direct copy of the reference, but it's somewhat, and I quite like it. So that's, I don't know, it's just in there. It'll do the chest and some cool cars. I think I was talking about Gorka Morka when I was drawing this on a podcast or something. So I was drawing little Gorka Morka, little trucks that orcs drive around, their little orc buddies in their orc buggies. Lady friend, she dressed like that for Halloween. Put photos of her on Instagram, and so I stole them and drew them. More really good pictures. I mean, I can sit here going, oh, they're okay, I guess, and I did sort of this bit quite good and that bit quite... They're just really fucking good drawings, and I'm really happy with them, because I'm good at drawing sometimes. I have my off days. I have periods where most of my days are off days, and sometimes I'll draw something good. But that's why I was happy with this book overall, because often in sketchbooks I will have pages I almost want to just tear them out, and sometimes I do just tear them out, where it's just garbage, just crap, where I'm figuring things out, just trying to get like poses and shit right, and I can't quite get it. But you know, this book I can't tear anything out of because it's all connected. If I tear one page out, that ruins everything. So I managed to keep everything sort of looking pretty good throughout, and I'm glad for that. It's something, you know. Hey, that's me doing the. That was primarily hand. I took a photo of myself doing that for a hand reference for a thing I'm working on involving hands and such. You'll see that eventually. The incredible Hulkenstein, Frankenstein's Hulkster, Franken-Hulk. Get it? It's like Frankenstein, but also the Hulk. It's brilliant. Actually, a very, very dear friend of mine came up with that. My Mexican wife came up with the idea and said, "Why hasn't anyone done this?" And I said, "Damn it, I'll do it." So I've been doing it. This was quite a cool. I thought of the lighting, so I sketched that just to see how the lighting would look. This was more of a fun doodle. Did it in pink just because I like playing with pink highlighters and shit. And then this was one of those drawings. It's like just a doodle, but I end up just sitting there for an hour or ish, hatching and doing lots and lots of little lines, and it came out really, really fucking good. I love this drawing. The texture and everything is really, really good. I'm really happy with that. So that's nice and cool, isn't it? Continuing on, more Hulks. This was done in a podcast. I guess it's Bruce Banner turning into the Hulk. This was... I cross-hatched the face for an hour, and that's a video. And then there's him. What I like to do sometimes, I can show a few examples where I did do this thing I like to do sometimes, is when I have a certain space in a sketchbook between drawings or between the edge of the page and a drawing, I like to try to draw a thing that just happens to sort of fit in that. So that's what this guy was. He's just this guy, but stretched a bit. Looks like the troll face, doesn't he? Yeah. And he's saying, "Eat shit." So that's what that was. This I could probably say these are some of my least favourite drawings in the sketchbook. You can see the amount of lines where I just wasn't figuring it out. Overall, they're kind of cool. They're lady orcs. I was playing a lady orc in Skyrim at the time, and I thought, I should draw some lady orcs. I haven't really I've drawn a bunch of orcs, goblins, and things, but I'm very phallocentric. I'm very male-dominated, very patriarchal. I don't draw many lady orcs or goblins or whatever. So I thought I'd take some time to draw some lady orcs. Evidently, I need to draw more because I couldn't figure out what the fuck I was doing. I suddenly lost all sense of anatomy when trying to draw the bastards. But there's some cool, like, lady orc faces around here. And this was sort of done to fit into a space that was kind of there. I quite like that. Fun lady orc drawing face, drawing an orc lady face. Hulktramega. That was a podcast episode. That was a funny thing. See, it's like James Harren's Ultra Mega, but it's also the Hulk. It's brilliant. I actually really like this drawing as well. I was really, really happy with how this came out. I really do like it. I like the shapes and the lines, the colours and such. Really, really like that. That's just another little sort of Hulktramega, whatever. It's all just whatever. Oh God, there's too much. Rats. A lot of this is and was and will be podcast stuff, so drew that because I have a whole thing with it. Watch the podcast. There's a whole. It's a whole thing. Rats. I love rats. They're my people, my homies, my brood, my family are all rats. And that's a Plague Marine, a Death Guard, a Nurgle Death Guard Chaos Space Marine. It's quite a lot of Warhammer in this sketchbook. That's quite peculiar, isn't it? Someone said they were going to draw a Nurgle Space Marine, and I was like, I will as well. So this was a little like practice drawing for that. It's not really for anything. It's just to draw a thing, which is fun, isn't it? That's what art's supposed to be. It's just supposed to be a bit of fun. Just fucking play. Let's all just draw some fucking some diseased, infected, infested, bloated, pestilent Nurgle Marines. And that's basically what that is. I like some of that. I like the pipes coming away from his helmet. I'm not too keen on his helmet. I quite like his stance, his like striding stance. I need to work on the belly as well, because I'm never sure whether I should have actual guts coming out of the belly, because they're wearing armor. So like it would have to be really thick armor that's torn apart, and then to have their intestines cut, or to do like pipes, like metallic pipes that look like intestines, but they're like rotted, rusted, decaying metal, or dripping oil and shit. I think on later in this sketchbook, which again I'll get to, I might do a whole load of like just working on Nurgle Death Guard Chaos Space Marines, because that could be quite a fun little series to do. Some drawings, some paintings, things, more rats, pens fucking flying away. That was drawn out of a comic book. This was to fit in the space, because I drew this just fucking goblins, whatever, and it left this sort of space. So I just drew a little rat just to fill the space. And this one too, he was drawn for the same reason, just a rat to fill in this space. And that's quite cool, I think. He's got no front legs, but you know, sometimes your front legs get torn off in industrial accidents. It happens to the best of us. Happened to me. Look at that. Both my arms got torn off. You don't hear me complaining about it. This was literally just doodling some fucking goblins and shit. And this funny little guy, this little, like, that's basically me at rats. When I see a rat, I just want to do this. Just get on all fours and just fucking look at them and go, because in the park, I walk through the park quite regularly as part of my like sometimes daily walks for my mental health and exercise and whatever. Plenty of squirrels in the park year round. Squirrels doing squirrel business, whatever it is they do, nuts and such. Every now and again, I'll see a rat, usually on the outskirts of the park, in the bushes by the fences and such, and such and such and such. But it's always like a delight to see a rat. I just fucking love them, because they're me. I see them and I see me just scurrying around. And because they're not exactly rare, it's not rare to see a rat, but when you see thousands of pigeons, tens of squirrels, and a whole bunch of seagulls and shit, it's like whatever. But then every now and again you see a rat and it's like, oh, I saw one. Because they keep to themselves. They're in the shadows, in the undergrowth, in the sewers. And you see them suddenly, you spot one running around and it's like, oh. So you're like this, there's a fucking rat. I want to take him home and kiss him and get diseased and turn into a Nurgle Death Guard Chaos Space Marine. Look, it's Wolverine. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes I'll just doodle. Let's just doodle a couple of fucking rats, goblin faces, whatever. And then the image in my head appears. You should just sketch a sort of a scrappy Wolverine from memory. And so I did that. I quite like his mask like that. It's quite fun, just fucking running little guy. And then that sort of turned into, well, not, it didn't turn into, I just sort of elaborated slightly on it and did this big bulky Wolverine kind of, I don't know, just big bulky shapes. I like the shape of his head, his face and such and such and such. Makes for a cool sort of sketchbook spread. Initially with this sketchbook, what I thought because I bought it knowing it's a concertina folded sketchbook. I thought what I'd do is I'll use it like a standard sketchbook, page by page, and then every now and again I'll bleed into. So you can see with it started off like that, basically a page for drawing, and then it sort of does bleed into the next page a little bit, but then it turned into just working almost solely across entire spreads of pages, which I'm not mad or upset about at all. It's just, okay, that's just the way it happens. I had one sort of intention with this particular sketchbook, and if I this was also to fill the space. Wolverine with his arm up left a vacant area, so I put a rat in there. I really like this rat. I like that. I might draw lots of rats. I might draw lots and lots of rats. That's a pigeon skeleton. See, it's, you started with a pigeon, ended with a dead pigeon. Life and death. Death and rebirth. I don't know. Pigeons and death. Death and pigeons. I just thought that'd be I mean, it's a fun thing to do. Skeletons are annoying but fun to draw. It's always fun to see skeletons of like frogs and birds and shit, because you don't typically see them. Especially when pigeons are so cute, and then you see it looks like a fucking dinosaur or something. Maybe there's something to that. So that is basically that. So, like, I probably put the title or thumbnail as like the first half of my sketchbook, or one of two sketchbook pow poo or something, and that's because the way this is built, it's double-sided. So there's also the way it's built, this one in particular, because I've made sketchbooks like this before that aren't quite the same, but this one, each page is sort of multiple sheets sort of stitched together or glued together at the edges, which means when I use marker pens and shit, which would normally bleed right through the paper, that doesn't happen because there's multiple sheets. So I now have part 2 of this sketchbook to fill up, which is cool. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes, I guess.